Season 1 of Off the Dribble, the Byron Scott Podcast, is brought to you by Neff Vodka.
Well, hello there. It's just me and the world's best tasting vodka.
What's up, guys? This is your boy, B. Scott. You are here for another episode of Off the Dribble with your boy, B. Scott. And I got a special guest today. My boy, I've known almost 40 years. Golly, we were just talking about that. 5 gold and platinum records, 4-time Grammy nominated, one of the baddest singers, and his voice has not changed from the day I met him to the day now. My brother, Jeffrey Osborne. J.O., welcome to the show, bro.
What's up, B?
Man, it's all good. Now listen, y'all. You know how we do it. 40 years. J.O. don't drink, so I'm going to just tap his glass.
Yeah, I'll tap it with you.
Yeah, we just tap the glass right quick and I'm going to have a sip just to get y'all ready.
No, I do drink. I like wine.
He just don't drink this early.
I don't drink early, yeah.
So, J.O., let's go back.
All right.
And I think most of us that are fans of music and good music, which J.O. has been doing for now, damn near 5 decades.
Yeah, since 1972. That's when I first recorded. So it's like 50 years.
Jeez. So LTD.
LTD, right.
And I didn't even know this. I didn't know you started off as a drummer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I started playing drums when I was about 14 years old. Okay. And in my hometown of Providence, Rhode Island, my brother actually left the set in my basement. And, back then you had basements. So
Right.
So I went down in the basement and set it up. And for some reason I could play. I had no lessons. I just sat down and I was able to play. So I taught myself all the wrong way. You know how, that happens in sports.
And everything. Right.
You don't get the fundamentals right to start, but you still got that athletic thing going on. So I kind of taught myself. And, I met LTD coming through. I had my little local band, but in Providence, there weren't a lot of black musicians to play with. Mm-hmm. So I used to play with the guys that were working their way through Berklee School of Music in Boston, a great music school. And I used to play with those guys. They were working their way through school, so we played in the nightclubs. And then this friend of mine said, man, you got to go down to this club, man. There's like 10 black musicians playing downtown. And this guy's name was Mr. B, and Mr. B's club. I'm like, that's funny, Mr. B.
Mr. B.
Yeah. I said, you got to be kidding me. So I said, I ain't seen 10 black musicians in Providence, period. So I go down to see him. Now I go to see him. They're playing, and I walk in. The club owner's like, man, it's so good. I'm glad you came. That drummer just got taken to jail for smoking weed outside the club. This is 1970.
Yeah, now it's legal.
Now you smoking, yeah. This guy went to jail for smoking weed, and he said, can you help us out? Sit in and sing a couple songs. And I said, what are they doing? He said, all top 40. I said, oh, yeah, I used to work part-time in a record store, so I knew everything that was out.
Okay.
I said, yeah, I'll sit in. So I sat in, played a couple songs, and they asked me to join the group. That's how I got started with LTD, as the drummer.
Right.
But I always sang. In my local band, I sang and played. I always sang and played at the same time, and people used to come to see me do that because I used to play drums, sing, and chew gum at the same time. And they was like, how you chewing this gum and singing and playing? If you saw the bottom of my drum stool, it was full of gum because I would take it out after about the first set and stick another piece under there. Before you know it was just full of gum. But anyway, so I joined as a drummer. There were probably maybe everybody in the band almost sang. We had a piano player, Jimmy Davis. He was a blind piano player, incredible musician. He sang. There was a girl in the group at the time, and she sang. And so we just passed vocals around. So it was a while before I became the lead singer. I think it was the 3rd LTD album. The first 2 albums, nobody even knows they were out.
Oh, wow.
The 3rd album was Love Ballad. And with Love Ballad, I sang most of that album. A couple other people sang. And from that point on, I became the official lead singer, but nobody really still knew I played drums. And I played drums on most of the LTD albums.
Wow, I didn't know that. Like I said, I was shocked when I read that about you, that you played drums.
Yeah.
I had always just assumed with that great voice of yours that you were just a lead singer your whole life. So, I mean, assumptions sometimes are not reality, But I'm glad to hear that LTD was smart enough.
Right. Well, I don't know if LTD did it or the record company did it.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, no, this guy needs to, because, back then, it's different today. Back then, they signed groups and they signed artists, and they gave you a 3-album period. Mm-hmm. So they developed the artists. It was artist development departments. They don't have artist development departments no more. So they gave you 3 albums. They said by the 3rd album, we'll have you developed and you'll be on your way. Mm-hmm. So they watched the first 2 albums and they're saying, we got to find something to zero in on. So the 3rd album is when they said, he's got to be the lead singer. This guy's got to be the guy to sing. And that's when they made me get up from behind the drums. I'll never forget it because they said, well, you got to get up and sing now because you got 4 horn players doing steps. They're all in front of you. No one can see you singing. And Love Ballad, the women want to see who's singing this song. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding. So I got up. I had no idea what to do with my hands. I'm so used to doing this, singing.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so they got me a guy that was at L.A. City College. He was a musical. He was actually the theater director, and he came in and worked with me and kind of showed me what I need to do. And his whole thing was, you got to work the last person in the last seat. Forget about these people here. If you get that person, you got everybody in the room. So he kind of taught me what to do and how to open up to people and how to bring people in, and because I was like lost out there. I was. But yeah, so it was a slow transition before I actually became the lead vocalist.
Wow. And I know that you had a big family.
Oh,
you
yeah.
had 12 brothers and sisters in the family.
Yeah.
Did any of them, follow your lead as far as your musically?
Well, I followed their lead because I was the youngest, and they all sang or played an instrument. My father was an incredible jazz trumpet player. So, I used to fall asleep outside his door just listening to him play. He was incredible. And so, yeah, they used to call me in when I was probably 6, 7 years old. They had singing groups, and they used to make me embarrass the guys in their group. So I would come down there saying, man, show him how to sing this part because he's messing the part up. And I would sit there and sing it, and they would be pissed at me. Like, get this little kid out of here. Get him out of here.
You're embarrassing the grown-ups, huh?
This is how you're supposed to sing it, right? I'm embarrassing the grown-ups.
No, I understand that. Now, in 85, 1985, you did a song with a bunch of other artists called We Are the World.
Yeah.
And you were with the MJ. Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
That was incredible. I wasn't even supposed to be there. Prince canceled. It was the night of the American Music Awards that they did this because everyone was in town. So they said, well, we're going to have everybody in town. Let's record it that night. So after the American Music Awards, I get approached by Quincy. He's like, man, Prince just canceled on us, man. We need another guy. I'm sorry I didn't ask you sooner. When you want to come in and be, I said, yeah. But see, I was the last guy, so I didn't get a solo spot. I'm like,
so you just had to join in.
Right? But this was funny. So I didn't get a solo spot, and Diana Ross didn't get a solo spot, and there was a couple other people. So he said, this is the end of the night. I mean, this thing started at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. So we were in there until 6 o'clock in the morning recording that song. So like 5:30, 6 o'clock, he says, okay, well, you didn't get a chance to do a lead vocal. I want you to do some ad-libs. So it was me, Diana Ross. I don't kind of think of who else. It was someone else. It was 3 of us. And he said, okay, we're going to play the track. And, just ad-lib. Whenever there's an open spot, just, do a little ooh and a ah and all that, so we're all right. And so we did it. And he called me a week later. He said, we can't use it. I said, why? He said, because Diana Ross never stopped singing. So she sang through everybody's part. She would sing, and then I got ready to sing, and she would just still singing. I'm like, what?
So she didn't want to give you your thunder, basically.
Right. So we never got a shot, but that was an incredible evening. It really was. It was magical to see all of these people in this room, and it was just amazing, man. One of the nights that I'll never forget, and we all stopped at one time and took the sheet music, and we had everybody sign our music. So I got mine framed at home with everybody's signature on the We Are the World music. So
wow. And I remember watching that video and seeing all the unbelievable artists up there singing.
It's crazy.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Only Quincy can get everybody in the room like that and have you guys sing a song that's meant for the world to hear, which is still something that we're trying to go through today. It's trying to be together as one. Instead of this
changed.
crazy, no, it ain't changed. It probably won't change.
It ain't going. I'm not going to see it change. I'm
me
hoping
neither.
my grandkids see it change.
I know I'm not going to see it. You're not going to see it.
No, you're right.
Hopefully, in your grandkids, my grandkids will get a chance to see it. You also was with another one that I loved, Whitney Houston.
Oh yeah,
I was a big Whitney Houston fan, and I know you have some memories and some fond memories of Whitney Houston. Can you tell us just one or two of them?
Well, I think the fondest memory I have is that she opened for me on her first tour.
Wow.
So her first tour, it was in '85.
Right.
She opened for me, and we did a complete tour, and it was just amazing. I mean, we sold out everywhere, and it was amazing. Her voice was, she has a once-in-a-lifetime voice. There's not many people that have that once-in-a-lifetime voice. And it was so sad to me to see that she let it just deteriorate, Yeah. But, she had issues. And unfortunately, it's when you're handed a gift like that, you should take care of that gift. You shouldn't abuse that
cherish
gift.
Cherish it.
And there's not a lot of voices like that. I mean, that's I think what was so beautiful about music back in the 70s, 80s. You had distinct voices. There were people, as soon as you heard their voice, you knew who they were. Yeah. Whitney, Michael, I can go down the line. Marvin Gaye,
Jeffrey,
Donny Hathaway, Luther. Right.
I know exactly what you're saying.
As soon as you hear them, that's lost today.
Yeah.
It's more production, and a lot of the singers today, I can't tell the difference. I can't tell who is who.
Yeah.
But I've had a couple of interesting things. I was supposed to be on her Bodyguard album. That didn't happen. I got pushed out for Kenny G. But that's another story. I'm not going to get into that one. That's a Clive Davis story.
Oh, is that right?
Well, I was signed to Clive Davis's label for a minute, Arista Records, and Whitney was on Arista, and Kenny G was on Arista. And so I got a lot of promises that never happened at Arista. But the tour was incredible. She was absolutely at her finest then. I mean, she was young, youthful. I think one thing that was fun for me is that I got a chance to write a song for Whitney. I didn't actually write the song for Whitney. I wrote the song for myself, but I didn't put it on my album. So back in the day, here's what we used to do. George Duke was producing, so I would have maybe 4 ballads on the album, and we try to have 2 R&B ballads and 2 kind of pop ballads.
Okay.
So on the album that I was recording it for, we had We're Going All the Way on the album. And We're Going All the Way. It was between We're Going All the Way and this song I wrote called All at Once. And so we decided We're Going All the Way. So we didn't use All at Once. So this producer, Michael Master, who produced Whitney's albums, called and said, I wrote it with him. He said, can I use this song on this new artist? I said, what's her name? He said, Whitney Houston. I said, I don't know who she is. He's like, she's kind of good. I'm like, well, go ahead and use it.
Right.
And so she sang All at Once, and it was on her first album, and it was, it never was a single, but they played it like it was a single. They used to do that back in the day. I got LTD albums where some of the songs people think were singles, they weren't singles. Radio just played them over and over.
Right.
And they played B-sides of 45s. You remember the 45?
Oh, yeah. You turn it over, you got the other side to it.
Flip, the B-side.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
All at Once was a B-side of a record. And B-sides, man, people played them more than the A-sides sometimes.
Wow.
But I got the opportunity to have that song recorded by Whitney, and that was special.
Yeah. Her first album was, when
was
it
crazy.
came out, I was like, whoa. Just listening to her voice. I remember the album cover. She's standing there and like, you know what I'm saying, Jay?
Right.
Standing there, I was like, whoa, okay, that'll get you to look, first of
Right.
all. And then you hear the songs, I was like, the voice is amazing.
Michael Massa produced her, and he wrote incredible songs. He wrote Saving All My Love for You. He was writing all that stuff for Whitney at the time. So I got a chance to write with Michael. And that was kind of special because he's one of those guys that had hit records on everybody. He had hit records on Diana. He was one of those special kind of people that just knew how to write those big pop ballads, you know.
Wow. Well, in 2013, our president at the time, Obama, kept mistakenly calling your name out. he kept saying Jeffrey Osborne when he was trying to say George Osborne,
right.
and then confessed that you was his favorite R&B singer. And how did that feel?
How did you hear about that?
Come on, man! Like I told you, I got my man Cody over here. We gonna pull up some dirt and figure out some stuff.
That was funny.
That must have made you feel like wow.
It did. It was crazy because I started getting calls from all over. I started getting calls from over in London. I was on British TV shows, and it was one of these quiz shows, and the question was, who is
Obama's favorite R&B artist?
Right. And I'm like, okay. But the interesting thing is he said I was his favorite. I think he just took the opportunity of the moment and said that because I never got to perform at the White House for Obama.
Oh, yeah.
I never got that call. And I had my my publicist reach out, and I said, oh, well, I'd like to come up and maybe do a couple of songs at the White House. All these people,
right.
I never got that opportunity. But I got a lot of press from that, I'll tell you that.
No, I figured that might have been pretty cool. You'd be like, what?
Right.
Obama said I'm his favorite?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. If that was the real case.
The real case. I'm seeing
sing
Obama
for you. Yeah,
singing
come on,
Al Green songs on television. I'm like, is that Obama singing Al Green?
Not J.O.
No,
We're singing
right.
Al Green. Oh, man. So J.O., I know your latest project, Worth It All.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that album was a long time in the making. I hadn't had a record for a while, and I signed with this company, Mac Avenue Records, and it was just kind of a collaboration of things that I've always wanted to do. I got a chance to do. I kind of wanted to go back to kind of an old school kind of vibe and do those kind of songs, and the album started off really well. Worth It All. The first single was Worth It All. Mm-hmm. It did well, and then the record company kind of decided they weren't going to put out a second single. So that kind of pissed me off a little bit. I'm like, how can you not put out a second single? You're riding all the momentum of this. And they're like, no, well, we're not going to do it. And so the album didn't do as well as it should have done. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I'm still working. I'm out working every week now. And I don't do anything from that album. I did Worth It All when it was out. And then I did a song that I wrote with my son. My son, he actually rapped on a song.
Really?
Yeah. And so I wrote a song. So I did it with him. And people loved that because I brought him up on stage.
Right.
And we did the song together. But I got so many songs that I can't do everything in a concert.
Right.
And so since Worth It All wasn't as big as some of the other songs, and I got too many ballads. So if I don't want to do a whole show full of ballads, so I got to pick and choose what ballads I'm going to sing. And so I decided to do the songs that people really want to hear.
Yeah.
I
tell you what, if you go to a Jeffrey Osborne concert, there's going to be some songs you're just not going to get because, like you said, you got so many.
I can't do them all.
Yeah, and people in the audience, because I've been there on a number of occasions, people in the audience are screaming out certain songs,
all the time.
and it's crazy because I'm sitting there going to myself, knowing you like I do, like he would love to do all of them, guys, but he can't.
There's no way, right?
So just sit back and enjoy the ones that he's going to do.
Right.
So I know being a lover of music like I am, that's one of the things that we have in common, along with obviously sports.
Right.
We love sports, but another thing that we have in common is keeping ourselves in shape.
Oh, without a doubt.
And you've done this for a number of years, along with that voice not changing, of making sure that you've always taken great care of yourself. So I want you to tell a little bit about how you do it. What's your eating regimens, your workout regimens, so people that are in their 60s and 70s can understand that they can still live a nice, healthy life.
Well, when I was 15 years old, I was playing nightclubs in Providence, Rhode Island, where I grew up. And we used to do 4 shows a night, 7 nights a week in nightclubs.
Wow.
They don't do that anymore because now today you can't go to a nightclub and hardly see a live band. It's all DJs spinning. But back then, there were live bands on every corner. There was a nightclub. And so I started having trouble because after about the 4th night, I'm like, oh my God, my throat is like raw. What's going on? So I went to see this doctor, right? And he happened to be an opera singer at one time.
Oh, really?
And he didn't get going. So he told me, he said, what you really need to do is learn how to sing from your diaphragm, number one. You got to sing from here. This is where the support is. He said, and then I want you to stop running track. And I'm like, running track? He's like, yeah, I want you to run track. I said, why you want me to run track? He said, just go out every day and run. It'll open up your chest cavity. It'll open up everything. He said, and you'll notice a big difference as long as you start learning how to sing from your diaphragm. So I've been running every day since since I was 15 years old.
Wow.
The best advice I ever got. Because it actually does. It opens you up. It opens your chest cavity. You feel, as a singer, I don't know why more singers don't do it. That was the best piece of advice I got. So I still run every day. Now I've been vegan for going on 6 years now.
Okay.
And I never thought I would last this long.
I remember when you started. I remember when you told me.
He talked my whole, he's like, Mom, Dad, we need to have like a little family meeting right now. And I'm like, what is he talking about? So he sat down. He said, I want you to watch this show with me. So he watching this show, and it's, I think it was Forks Over Knives or one of these shows. And at the end of the show, I said, wow, I didn't realize that, I was putting all this stuff in my body. He's like, yeah. He said, so I want all of us to go on this diet. He said, just try it. So I went on this diet. I became vegan, and I felt terrible for the first 3 weeks. And then, because, it's like a cleansing.
Yeah, it's an
and
adjustment
so
too, yeah.
You got all of this cleansing going on, and your body is
right.
trying to react. And I was like, and so after about the 4th week, I started feeling really good. But I lost a lot of weight. But the interesting thing was I'm actually the same weight I was when I was in high school.
Wow.
Which is basically what naturally you are. High school, college, that's your natural kind of weight. Mm-hmm. And so I'm back to that. I feel incredible. I started drinking this alkaline water. Mm-hmm. Bought this Kangen water machine, and I started drinking that about 8 years ago, and that really helped. So I was drinking the water anyway, and when I became vegan, it really just gave me so much more energy. I felt better. I didn't feel bogged down after each meal. And so that's been kind of my regimen. And I didn't think I would last 5 or 6 years, but here I am 6 years into it. And now I'm thinking about going pescatarian.
Really?
I'm really thinking about it because, in doing my physicals every year with the doctors and talking, they seem to think that it might be good for me to get some omega fatty acids into me, and that's fish, the fish oils, all that. So I'm thinking about it. And I grew up in Rhode Island on the water, loved everything out of the ocean. I love oysters, clams. I loved all. That was the hardest thing for me to give up. But so now I'm thinking about it, and I don't think it would be a bad thing for me to try now, eating a little fish. But for the most part, I have been strict vegetarian, and I didn't realize that vegetarian was as deep as it is. But it even goes down to honey. I used to use honey for my throat all the time, and I come to find out, well, it's a bee, and that's an animal. And it's an animal product, and I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I'm like, so they,
I'll be in trouble.
Yeah, so they say that the definition of a vegan is someone who eats nothing that has eyes. If it has eyes, you don't eat it.
Wow. Interesting.
So it is interesting because I said, well, can I still eat these black eyed peas?
They got eyes. They got eyes. We love our black eyed peas.
I love some
boy.
black eyed peas.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, it's funny because when you mentioned alkaline,
Right.
of course, my wife over there damn near fell over her damn couch over there because she's been trying to get me to put one in our house as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she's big on us eating healthy and
Right.
all that, but she loves the fact that salmon and fish and
Right.
it's something that I have in my diet.
Right.
I got to have that.
Well,
So,
I think it's healthy for you to have some, and I think the key is alkalinity. If your body is alkaline, you won't get sick. That's the key. It's acidity that kills us. And drinking alkaline water kind of washes that acidity away. And I think a lot of people don't realize that acidity is the killer. There has not been one person who has cancer whose body wasn't acidic. So the key is to get your body alkaline. And,
okay, baby, I guess we're gonna get the alkaline water now. we're vegan light, but we still have our seafood, and
Well,
stuff
that's
that.
cool,
So,
though, man.
and our
I
omega
don't-
or
Yeah.
omega,
Right.
fatties and all that stuff when she has me taking my vitamins and all
See,
that good
I'm
stuff.
not one of those vegans who are snooty. I think people should eat whatever they feel is good for them. I think a lot of stuff is psychological.
Right,
I mean, if you think it works, it works.
works, yeah.
It works. I mean, down the line, there are some benefits health-wise, to cleaning up your diet. And I mean, it's funny because when people go in the hospital and they have surgery, what do they put you on? They put you on a plant-based diet. People are like, the food is horrible in here, but it's vegetables.
Yeah, it's hard because that's not what you used to eat.
That's not exactly. But
so,
that's
yeah.
what they put you on because it is healing.
Right.
But I think anything in moderation is good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I want to talk a little bit about the Jeffrey Osborne Foundation.
All right.
Obviously, the golf tournaments and some of the other things that you do to raise money. I know going to Providence, playing in your golf tournament,
Right.
you still have your heart is still set out there in Providence to help kids and families. So tell us a little bit about Jeffrey Osborne Foundation.
Yeah, I started this foundation the first year. It was done in my brother Clay's name, Clay Osborne. He was probably one of the greatest jazz singers in Providence, Rhode Island, and he passed away. And he always wanted to do music scholarships for people. So on the first tournament, I did it in honor of him. It was in the Clay Osborne Foundation, and I think, to be honest with you, the thing that really made this tournament took off was Irvin.
Yeah.
Because Irvin, I don't even know how he found out I was having a tournament. But, my nephew Donald used to drive for Irvin. So I guess Donald talks all the time. Right. So Donald told him, and he said, tell J.O. I want to help him. I'm like, really? So he called and he said, yeah, man, I heard you having a tournament, man. If I can help you, man, I'll come to Providence. He said, I'll help you out. I said, really? He said, yeah. So we talked. I said, well, he said, what charities are you doing? So I said, well, I got the Amos House, which is a place that feeds people off the streets, takes them off the streets, teaches them carpentry, teaches them culinary arts, and puts them back on the path. And they have a food kitchen every day. And I have another organization, which is unbelievable, called St. Mary's Home for Children. And they deal with abused children, let me put it this way. But most of it is like sexually abused children, which is, when I went there, I almost cried to see that someone could do this to a child. So they don't like to put it out there. They just say it's abused children, but they're one of my organizations. And then I teamed up with the Rhode Island Philharmonic Orchestra to put music back in the public schools. So that's been great for me. And then there's a little 9-hole course there called Buttonhole that they go and they talk to kids in school, and they teach them about the game of golf, and they bring them up there and give them lessons. And so that's one of my charities. And then there's a school called the Met School, which is an alternative learning high school, which you could actually go and take classes into whatever you want to do in the future. Not just the ordinary classes, but if you want to be into engineering, they have classes for you, anything you want to do. So they're one of my charities. And then, so I'm telling Irvin, he said, well, what about the Boys and Girls Club? I said, well, he said, let's add the Boys and Girls Club. So I said, okay. So we had the Boys and Girls Club. He said, okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll come there and I'll go and I'll speak at the Boys and Girls Club. So I'm like, you kidding me, right? He said, no, I'll do that. He said, then I'll do your auction. And I'm like, damn, this is kind of nice, Earl. So I told the people in Providence, I said, well, Magic's going to come to the Boys and Girls Club. We need to do it at the Fox Point Boys and Girls Club there is like one of the first founding Boys and Girls Clubs ever in the country. So we bust all the kids in from the other ones. And they told me that I was lying because no one had ever done a celebrity tournament. There's no way you're going to get Magic Johnson to do this. I'm like, Magic's going to be, there's no way. They doubted me up to the time he got out of the car.
Are you serious?
I swear. But they had all these incredible kids here. And then Pat Riley came. Mm-hmm. And we went down to the Boys and Girls Club, and it was Magic, it was Pat Riley, it was Ed Cooley, the coach of Providence College, it was the mayor. And it was unbelievable. And they still talk about that today because no one has ever done that, And that first tournament was amazing. I mean, the beautiful thing is that not only do I get athletes, but I get singers. Mm-hmm. So, you get you get Eddie Levert from the OJs, you get Johnny Gill, you get Smokey Robinson, We've had Philip Bailey there. We've had Belle Biv and DeVoe there. We've had and we jammed.
Yeah, no, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So it was kind of a model tournament when it started because no one had been doing anything like it. And it's been incredible. And we've raised almost $2 million now for these charities in Rhode Island. And then we do things for other charities. Those are my main 6 charities. Right. But I get calls all the time. Can you help us here? So we always throw something here or there to, other people in need. But we haven't been able to do it the last 2 years because of the pandemic. But we're going to do it again next year. And you've always been a big part of it, man. And I'll never forget when we did the softball game. And I looked up, and in the dugout was you, Magic, Kareem, Worthy. I mean, I had the whole
damn near the starting 5.
We had
with a smaller ball, round, but a smaller ball. Right.
So it's been really good. We've had so much fun doing it every year. It's moved around a couple of times now. It started at my favorite place was Carnegie Abbey. Yeah, the golf course there was. That's just a beautiful
unbelievable.
Then we moved it to Foxwoods.
Yeah,
and Foxwoods was nice.
That was nice. I was about to say that was nice too, though,
because it was a lot for people to do.
Yeah,
and then we went back to Rhode Island the last time, and we did it at this course, Ledgemont, which kind of was not on par for what I would like it to be. So next year we're going to do it at this course called Kirkbury in Rhode Island.
Okay,
but I enjoyed Foxwoods, but Foxwoods became a political thing where the CEO passed, and they put a tribal member as the CEO, the interim CEO. Okay. And so when a tribal member comes in, his first thing is, we're going to slash everything. We're going to make sure the tribe, makes the most money here. So they slashed everything for me. So I was like, okay, well, I'm out of here.
Right.
What's the sense of me doing it? Yeah.
Tribal member didn't understand. Look, this has been very successful. Let's keep this going.
And I'm trying to tell him, I'm saying, look, man, what you have is priceless. You can't even pay to have a Julius Erving in your casino talking to your people. That's priceless. So why are you sweating? You got Julius, you got Byron Scott, you got George Lopez, Cedric, Chris Tucker. I mean, we're gonna be in the casino. And everybody is.
We're gonna be in there having a good time.
You can't pay for that.
No.
So we ended up leaving Foxwoods, but they may come back around.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters where it's at. If y'all show up,
no,
it don't matter.
Look, you got such great friends and support from all of us. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't understand this. Irvin Magic Johnson coming to Jeffrey Osborne's golf tournament. Irvin don't play golf.
No, he don't play.
He swung a golf club one time, missed the ball, and they never swung again. He was like, oh, that ain't for me. This game ain't for me. Put the club down and walked off, and then never picked up another golf club. Really? And I was there to witness this. I was cracking up because he swung and missed. And Irvin.
Right.
If he can't be good in it, he ain't going to do it.
But who, for the first time, is going to hit a golf ball?
None of us. You know what I'm saying? But his whole mind, his whole mind process is that I'm Irvin Johnson. Right. I'm one of the greatest players that ever played the game. This little golf ball just sitting there. I should be able to hit that down there about 200 yards. He swung and missed. He was like, okay, that's it. He dropped the club over there. I was like, Irv, nobody hits it the first time. Nope, that's it. Never picked up
That
another
must
club.
have been at his tournament because he had
It was.
Mountain Gate.
It was
his
at,
tournament?
no, it was at Riviera.
Riviera.
It was a Laker tournament, but Irv was there, right? Never picked up another club.
That's funny.
But for him to come to a tournament and, like Jeffrey just said, to go to the Boys and Girls Club,
Right.
to do the auctioneer, to be, and I remember he got on stage because he had everybody coming up along with you,
Right.
talking about singing the Woo 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 song
Right.
again. And like you said, we had such a great time. It was such a unbelievable amount of celebrities, athletes, singers there. It was so much fun. So, kudos to you for what you've been doing in the community, and we love it. And I know you're going to keep doing it. And this year when it comes back, I'm in. That's for sure.
You know what? You've been there every year, man. I can't thank you enough.
I can't help it. My boy, golf, that's a piece of cake.
Yeah,
J.O., we're going to go back a little bit. We're going to talk about something that a lot of people probably don't know. But when I got drafted by the Clippers and traded to the Lakers, which is now, 39 years ago.
Wow.
39 years ago when I was traded to the Lakers, one of the, obviously one of the happiest days of my life. This man sung the opener for 32 years straight.
Right.
And not only the opener, he did national anthems for all our important games, as I would say. And that was over 30 games. And during that span, we lost one game when Jeffrey Osborne sung the national anthem. My last year coaching the Los Angeles Lakers with Kobe Bryant, we had a situation that we talked about after the game was over where we were expecting you to do the national anthem.
Right.
So, people, you probably won't hear this story nowhere else.
Yeah, probably won't, right?
So tell the people kind of what happened and what transpired, and we're going to kind of go back and forth on it a little bit.
Well, you mentioned that I had opened the 32 years I opened the season for the Lakers. Every time they called me, I was like, okay, give me the date, and I would move everything around to make sure I was there for that opening night. And I did that for 32 years straight, plus all the playoff games. And so they would always call me and ask me to do the anthem. And that Lakers was my team, man. It was such a beautiful thing because I got to know you as a person. I got to know Irvin. I got to know James. I got to know you can't pay for that. That's priceless. Yeah. So,
but I'm gonna interrupt you real quick because Jay was like family,
right?
Not only did he do games, but events.
Yeah.
When we had parties or we had family outings, Pat Riley would invite everybody to the house with J.O. and Sherry would be there. So he was like family.
Yeah.
When we, kind of telling the story, so you get the gist of this.
Yeah. So it was, I for the first time I called and I said, look, this is Kobe's last game, retirement game. I've never asked to do a game. I always wait for you guys to call me, but I want to do this game. This is, I did his first game as a rookie. Mm-hmm. I'd like to do his last game. Mm-hmm. So they were like, well, I don't see a problem. That's great. Okay. And I mentioned that the first game, the opening night when I sang the anthem, I said, look, I want to do this game. So they knew that far in advance from opening night.
7-8 months in advance, they knew.
And no problem. They said, we'll call you, it's yours. So I'm thinking, okay. So now it's getting down to, I guess, 2 weeks before, and I hadn't heard from them. So I called, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't heard from you guys, and the game's coming up in a couple of weeks, and I haven't got the call yet. Oh, don't worry. I'll let you know in a couple of days. And I'm like, why you got to let me know in a couple of days, So anyway, me being an avid sports fan and being a serious Laker fan, I'm reading the Bleacher Report, a couple days later, and I see just announced Flea doing the national anthem for Kobe Bryant's last game, and I'm like, oh, this is a typo. This can't be right.
So you just
right?
say, no, this is some bullshit. This is a typo.
This is definitely some bullshit. So I call and I said, well, I just saw that Flea was doing the anthem for Kobe's game. Oh, yeah, well, we ran into some problems, and, it became a sponsor thing. It's such a big game. Everybody's going to be in it, and it was a sponsor thing, and they decided that they would like to have Flea do it. And I said, Flea? I said, no disrespect to Flea, but he's not going to sing the national anthem. Well, no, he's going to play it on bass. And I said, okay. I said, well, I'm a little upset about that. I said, I've been loyal to you guys for 32 years now. I expected when I told you that I would get to sing the game. I said, I even spoke to Cody at the golf tournament, and he said no one else would do it. And I said, so I'm thinking I'm doing it. And they said, well, unfortunately, but we'll make sure you get all the other games. They said, I hope you're not upset. I said, no, I'm not upset at all. Just don't ever call me again. So she said, what? I said, don't ever call me again. I said, I take loyalty seriously.
Right.
That's part of my makeup. If I'm loyal, I give you my word, I'm going to do it.
Absolutely.
I said, and I think I deserve this game after the time that I put in with the Lakers.
Absolutely.
I said, so I said, so just don't ever call me again. And I don't think a lot of people know that story. I would never call out who was responsible for that. But I talked to people, and Irvin was the first one I talked to. So I said, look, am I overreacting? And he said, absolutely not. He said, there's no one else that should sing that game. You are the one person that should sing the game. So I had called you, and we had talking, and I'm like, because you were the coach at the time, and I'm like, well, man, I would love to get a signed basketball from Kobe. And you were like, okay, man, well, just get the ball to me. So I'm like, okay. So I get that done, and I'm thinking, Kobe's probably still thinking I'm doing the game. And so you called, you said, J.O., I got the ball signed at the end of the game, come down and to the locker room, because I had carte blanche. I could go to the locker room.
Like
I could go to the locker room anytime I wanted.
You were family.
Yeah.
You were probably the only person in all the years that I was there, not even Jack.
Right.
Not even Jack, who said, could come back there and probably go in the locker room and sit down and chill out.
Right.
You was the only person that I know of that could have done that at that particular time.
I had carte blanche to go into any time I wanted. So I went down and got the ball from you, and I was hurt. I was hurt because I felt that I was so loyal to them and that they turned their back on me. And I don't know why they did it. I've never discussed it with anybody inside the Laker organization, but I never got a call from anybody from the Laker organization, which I thought was kind of strange too. So I kind of let it go. And I'm still upset. I was so upset because I was a staunch Laker fan.
Yes,
and so
yes.
my retaliation was my boy Doc Rivers was the coach at the Clippers at the time. He's like, J.O., you gotta come and do the anthem for us. And I always would tell him, Doc, I'll never do the anthem for the Clippers. I'll never do it. So he called me, he said, so what now, man? Can I get you? I said, I'm gonna come and do the anthem. And I went and did the anthem for the Clippers. And I still kind of like, why did you do that? But that's how upset I was. I was really hurt, and I'm still hurt because I'm an avid Laker fan.
Yeah,
not only have I not done it, I canceled my season tickets, which I had since the Forum days. I canceled my season tickets. I was pissed.
J.O., I think, and I don't know if you remember the whole our conversation after that game when you told me what had happened and we were talking. You had said then that you would never come into another Laker game.
Right.
And I wasn't mad at you because I was pissed that you didn't sing the national anthem as well.
Right.
I think all of us that are old school Lakers who had seen you for so many years do the national anthem, do all the important games, do Kobe's first game. Kobe expected you to do the last game. I expected you. It was my last year coaching. And Irvin, like he said, no, you didn't overreact. We were all kind of shocked that didn't happen.
Right.
So your reaction after the game when me and you were talking, and you were like, that's some bullshit. I was like, no, that is some bullshit. I said, I can't, we were both like hot about it. And you was like, I'm never going to another Laker game.
Yeah.
So I wasn't surprised. I was surprised, like you said, and I love her to death, as you know, Jeannie. I'm still surprised that they haven't reached out. That Jeannie hasn't reached out. And I tried to say earlier that maybe, she didn't know the whole story of what was happening or whatever the case may be. But still, somebody in that organization on the higher up level should have reached out and kind of explained to you what happened,
right?
What went wrong, why you didn't do it. and then we could squash this because, like you said, I'm the same as you. I'm gonna bleed purple and gold until the day I die. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bleed purple and gold till the day I die. And I love that organization. So I'm just hoping, guys, if you're out there listening, Laker organization, if you're listening, Jeannie, if you're listening, get this man a call. Get that man a call and just say we're sorry. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody messed up.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Somebody messed up.
Man, I've done the anthem for the Lakers in the weirdest situations. I mean, I did the City Hall steps. I rode on the bus. On the parade bus.
On the float.
On the float, right.
Like I said, family. He's been there through all this.
Right. You know, I remember back when Wes Matthews was there, and he poured champagne in my head after we won
the championship.
Right.
Wes Matthews, who's that's our boy,
man.
Good brother, man. I used to love Wes.
Man,
I'll tell you. just a great person to be around.
Yeah.
You know, so I know, like we said earlier, guys, that's a story that you have never heard of. You know, it's a Jeffrey Osborne story. His connection with the Lakers. We treated this man, and he treated us like family, and it's been like that from day one that I've been there to this present day. You know, I can always call this man. He knows he can always call me, and you know, we're gonna move things around just so we can make sure that we get together and do things for for each other.
Right, exactly.
And that's the beauty of this whole thing. So, you know, just like I told JR, I got to ask him this last question here. What is one story that you love to tell, but not many people know?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think the one story that a lot of people probably haven't heard is when I actually sang Love Ballad, because it was a night where we were in turmoil, and we went to the studio. I think it was about 7:30, and I know I'm supposed to sing this song tonight, so I'm ready to sing the song, and I'm like, okay, where's the producers at? So they didn't show up. I'm like, wait a minute. So we're sitting around and we're listening to what we've already done, and we're going through stuff. So we're getting ready to leave. It's like midnight. I'm like, oh man, I'm upset, man. I wanted to sing the song tonight. So here they come in around 12:30, and they're like, well, so we had a meeting. It was a heated meeting because it was one of those things where they were doing some shit they wasn't supposed to be doing, and looked up and the time had gone by. So I'm mad now. Everybody's mad in the group, so I'm ready to go home. So they're like, well, J.O., you know, we sat in there for 2 hours just going back and forth. So it's like 3:30 in the morning. They're like, well, why don't you just go in and sing the song? I'm like, man, it's 3:30 in the morning, man. I'm not, no. Just go in, man. Just go ahead. So time to get it set up. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I go in there. I put it up. I'm mad. I sing the song one time. I walk out, and that's the take. That was the take.
That one time.
That one time. And that was it. And then I went back the next day. Listen, I'm like, oh, that's done. I ain't messing with that. I'm not messing with that. But I don't think a lot of people know that. It's so weird. That song to me, I think the magic in that song for me is not the fact that I just sang it. It was the fact that I played drums on it. I don't think a lot of people realize that. You know, being able to sing to it's like singing to your own heartbeat, you know, because I kind of laid the drums down. And so I'm feeling it from a whole nother space. I'm feeling what I'm playing on top of what I'm singing. And I think that's really was the magic in that song. And I think I've sung that song probably every single show since I recorded it. And I look forward to singing that song. It's probably my all-time favorite song to perform live. It's a career song for sure, because it's the first time I ever heard my voice everywhere. I mean, globally.
Right.
And, you know, I had one other song that I feel was a career song, and that's when I left LTD. My first solo record, On the Wings of Love, kind of put my name out there because my name was never out in front of LTD. So nobody really knew my name. They knew my voice, but they didn't know my name. So the first album, we just called it Jeffrey Osborne. So then radio had to say, this is On the Wings of Love from Jeffrey Osborne, from the album Jeffrey Osborne. So they had to keep banging the name. And we finally associated the name with the voice. So Wings kind of was a career song as a solo artist, but Love Ballad was the one that got me started. So those two songs, I'm kind of very partial to them for what they did for my career.
Love Ballad was off the chain. On the Wings of Love was off the chain because I know Pat Riley was a big coach on having visuals. So
Right.
he would play videos before games to get us hyped up. And he would play videos to music.
got
So
one of
James
those.
Ingram would be
Yeah.
on some, and we would always end with On the Wings of Love with J.O.
And Irvin played me when it was We're Going All the Way.
We're going all the
We're
way.
All the Way was a
That's
whole
it.
video.
Whole video on We're Going All the Way,
Right.
meaning, winning the
Right.
championship and all that.
Yeah.
And Pat Riley had a very unique way of putting music with us on the basketball court performing and getting that message across. So it was spectacular. So I know pretty much damn near every Jeffrey Osborne song. Just so y'all know. Just so y'all know.
Well, you guys were a special.
Man, it was a special time. It was just a special
man.
time, and special relationships that we've formed have been unbelievable over the years.
Well, I gotta say, I don't think I've ever formed a bond with just a sports organization like the Lakers. I mean, I know everybody personally, from you to Coop to Magic to Kareem. I mean, and then we go on from there to Shaq
Yep.
and Kobe.
Yep.
And
D-Fish.
D-Fish. I mean, it's like, I was sitting at one game and Rick Fox was sitting over there and him and Kobe were laughing and he was pointing at me and then I'm like, what up? So halftime before he comes on, he said, man, we was just trying to figure out how many times you sang the anthem for us. How many times? I was like, that's funny. I mean, the players are sitting there talking about it.
During the game.
During the game, right?
Unbelievable. Guys, I want to thank my man J.O. for coming. This has been unbelievable. Just kind of reminiscing and going back almost 40 years of us knowing each other, him doing the national anthems, him doing all these championship games, and being a part of the Laker family. This is Off the Dribble with Byron Scott. We'll talk to you guys later.